Hello there, paper crafters, and thanks for joining us at PaperCrafter's Corner, where information, inspiration, and entertainment is what we're all about. Today we're going to be talking about a product, and this is going to be the start of a new series of product reviews, and these will be product reviews for manufacturers that you may know and come to have loved, and there are also some manufacturers that you may not have heard about, and I think the one we're working on today may be one of the latter. So we're going to get started, and the idea is to share the product, to give you a completely unbiased review after my playing with it and testing it out and trying lots of things and showing you that process, and then to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of all the products that we review. These are not paid. The companies do provide the products for us, but they do not pay us, and then we will be giving the products away. So just wanted to give you a little bit of background of how that works in case anybody's curious. So today's product, which you're seeing on the screen here, it is called the Clever Endeavors SliderWriter. I love the product and the company name. I think that's both are really great. Clever Endeavors is a great way to market yourself. And the SliderWriter basically was designed to help people with writing. So what you're seeing here is exactly as it comes out of the box. So you've got a laser that runs on a track on the left side. You've got a 3/4 inch calligraphy guide that also runs down the left side. You've got a ruler that runs down the right side, and then you've got two bands, and you'll notice that there are equally spaced notches top and bottom, and this allows you to center your items horizontally using the laser, and then vertically using these bands, and these bands just lift off just like that. So this is how it's going to come, and it comes with this very cute designed little marketing piece on the front. We're going to take that off, and we're going to leave our rubber band off for now until we start to use the product. So basically the concept for the SliderWriter was that they wanted to design a tool that would enable you to write in straight lines without having to use pencil lines or a ruler, especially important for people that do calligraphy or people that hand address envelopes, and especially important for those of us who do scrapbooking and might want to put some journaling on our page and not have to worry about screwing up the page, right? I think we've all been there where we've got this great page and now we realize we need to put some journaling on it, and unless you do that on a separate piece of paper or cardstock and then attach it, there's always that concern that, oh, am I going to screw this up? And the other thing that people are concerned about is, you know, can I get this in the amount of space? And so this tool will help you to do that. So let's get started. Let's do a little review and show some of the ways that it can be used. So first we're going to talk about the laser. And the laser just has a small switch on the side here. Let me turn this around so you can see it's right in this area here, and you're just going to flip it up to turn the laser on. And the laser again slides up and down. Just going to slide it up and down very easily. And we're going to put it into the center. And the first thing that you're going to notice is that there is a calibration point. So right underneath the laser here, there is a thing that says alignment point A. And if you put the laser right on that and follow that light over to here, it says B, you can tell that the laser is centered because these two match up. Now, if this got bumped for some reason and it was a little bit crooked, then you're going to see that it does not come here to the center where it should be. And all you're going to do is pull on this lever until that line lines back up. And now you know that this is calibrated and your line is perfectly straight. So the laser is somewhat delicate. You know, with all lasers, you want to be very careful of them. Never look directly into it. If the kids are around, don't let them play with the laser because it is a little bit delicate and you don't want them looking in here. That can damage their eyes. It takes two AAA batteries. Those are 1.5 volt batteries, very easy to get a hold of. And the whole product has a 6-month warranty. It is very lightweight, so very easy to take with you in your scrap tote. But again, I would be very careful about where this is stored because you don't want to get this laser damaged. The overall dimensions, so the footprint of this, the base of it, is 17 inches wide and 13 inches in height. or in length. And then the surface that you're going to be working on, this surface in here, is 12 inches by 12 inches. So we've already talked about recalibrating the laser, and we've talked about how you can use that for your horizontal alignment, and then you can use the rubber bands for the vertical alignment. And by the way, if you do happen to lose any of these rubber bands, you can use just a standard rubber band from the office supply store as well. But these are actually really nice, really come in handy. So you want to make sure to keep them on your board when you have this stored. You also want to think about, how are you going to use this with your particular project. So if you are left-handed, one really nice feature is that you can unscrew this clip, which is just like on a standard clipboard. You can unscrew these little screws and put it down to here. So now what happens is you're using this in this orientation, and you're using your right hand to slide this, and you're doing everything with your dominant hand, your left hand. So that's a really nice feature of this product. I'm right-handed, so we're going to turn it back around, and I'm going to use it in this fashion. Again, we talked a little bit about the fact that it has this calligraphy guide, and how you would use that is if someone were doing calligraphy, they would simply put their card on here, and let's say that I want to make sure that all my letters are the same height. Okay, I'm going to move my band over, slides over very easily, slide it in the corresponding notch at the top, just to kind of hold it in place a little bit there. And I'm going to put my laser on because I want my lettering to be straight. And so this is the line where I'm going to write. And then this is where I want the tops of my letters to go. So if you're doing large swirly letters, you can do it like this. And you've got a guide for making the tops of your letters line up, and a guide for the bottom. So if you're doing any kind of lettering, that's a pretty easy way to do it. Now, I'm not the best at lettering, but it just gives you an example of what that might look like and how you can use the tool. Now, also, this is really great for addressing envelopes. I just spent hours working on my daughter's handmade wedding invitations, and I don't know why I didn't think of it, but I had this product on hand, and we were actually shooting some of the still shots of it, and I hand addressed all her envelopes and never even thought to bring this out. So kind of stupid. But it would have been a really great tool because I only had a limited number of envelopes, and I was doing some kind of fancy writing on them, and I wanted to make sure that they would turn out well. And so there was quite a bit of stress there, especially when you're doing it for somebody you care about. So that, this would have been a really great tool to make sure that the addressing on the envelopes came out nice and straight. And I'll show you how that can be done. So we're going to place our envelope right here. And in this case, I'm going to remove this other band because I really don't need it. And because I want the envelope to be held very straight, I'm going to put it in right there underneath the clip. Turn on my laser, and I'm going to line it up over here. So I'm going to start at this 2-inch mark, and I'm going to write the first line across there. So let's just do we're sending an invitation to PaperCrafter's Corner. Okay, now I'm going to bring this down because I want to leave about a 1/2 inch between the lines, and I'm going to start writing the address. And bring it down another 1/2 inch, and we'll finish off the address. And there you go. So really nice. You'll see that we have a really perfectly straight address block there. And again, would have been really wonderful for all the invitations that I addressed. I think there were probably about 60 of them. And it would have made a lot quicker work and certainly made it a lot less stressful. All right, so we've talked a little bit about writing on the surface, so with things like this. We've talked a little bit about addressing envelopes or writing in a straight line, and this could apply to journaling or to addressing envelopes. And we're going to talk a little bit now about putting together a layout or a card. We're going to start with this lovely piece of basil paper. Don't you just love this dot paper? And we're going to put it in place there. And this is going to be the background for my layout. And I want to align all the different elements, but I'm not really sure exactly how I want to lay them out. One of the issues is that you can get it partly adhered, and then you try to add some elements, and then you realize I'm not really sure where I had this, or is it straight? And one of the problems that I face is that I like to sit down, of course, when I'm working on layouts for a long time, but when I do that, I can never get things lined up. It looks perfectly straight while I'm sitting down, and then when I stand up, it's very crooked. So what I like to do is to stand when I'm doing my scrapbook layouts, but when you're at an all-day crop, that can get old really quickly. So this is a really quick way to make sure everything's lined up and be able to sit down a little bit if you want to. So let's get started on creating a layout. So we're going to start with all these elements, right? We've got photos, we've got stickers, we've got journaling cards, and we've got a little note card that we might want to use as an embellishment. So for me, I like to start with the photos. And I think that we are going to make this photo the centerpiece. And I want to talk a little bit about what was going on in this photo. So I think that we will say, you know, this was, let's say this was Tuesday. And now I can put my laser on and say I want it to line up right there across the top of this card. And as you can see, the laser line is running across it. Nice and straight, and I've got this lined up. Now whether or not I choose to put this card there or I'm going to move it around someplace on the layout, at least I know that sticker is straight on that card. Okay, so I think that I'm going to put this here, and I want to line that up, and I want to line this up with the top of that. Now in this case, this card has some lines, so it's a little bit easier, but let's say that I wanted to do it halfway up. You know, then I can line it up exactly this way. And if I want to align, let's say I'm going to add a sticker here. Put this little sticker on, and I want to have this aligned to the bottom and then maybe center the picture someplace up there. I'm not sure exactly where. I can bring this down, use the laser to line this up. And then I can say I want the bottom of the picture to be someplace between the top of this and the bottom of that. And that's about the center. And now I can place this here, right? So it's a very easy way to align all the elements of a layout, to move them around, to have an idea that this is how I want it to lay out, and it's going to be nice and straight. And then when you go to do the vertical placement, so if I wasn't sure exactly where I wanted to put these elements, I can put the rubber bands back on, and we're going to go to the second notch. And I'm going to say, you know, I like this, but I also want to put this card back here, and I want it to line up evenly, right? I want it to be straight. So I can put my laser on, put this here, and make sure that the card is straight on this end. And then I can also align it here and make sure it's straight there, right? So very easy to make your elements line up straight. So we're going to pull that out. Now let's say that I had this image here, and I've got this little piece of cardstock that I really like the color of, and I want to line it up there, and I'm going to adhere it, but I also want this to have some nice journaling, right? So here I can lay the line out exactly where I want my journaling to start, and I can put today we, right? And then I can go down to the next line and put the rest of my journaling in here. And again, it just gives you the ability to journal very straight on the elements, whether or not those elements are going to be tacked down where they are, or maybe you're going to move this now, but it gives you a way to make sure that everything is lined up evenly. Okay, and then let's look at a few examples. These are some examples of cards that I made that were a little bit challenging, right? I needed to get this block lined up straight, and I needed to get each of these elements lined up straight, and then the ribbon to be straight. And again, this would have been the perfect tool, right? To maybe I want to put this here, and I can say, you know, is this and this, is it straight? And is that element straight? Right, and I didn't do too bad of a job. It's a little bit further down on the right side than it is on the left side, and you know, using this tool I would have known that. Also for cards like this where you've got different dimensions of elements, so you've got a stamped image and then you're going to be putting some raised things, and as you can see the stamped image is straight, but then these drop down a little bit. Now maybe I wanted that, maybe I wanted them to be perfectly straight. In that case, these would have needed to move up just a little bit. This was a card that I made in a class, and I did not have a ruler with me, and so these three letters, I decided rather than try to get them straight and be frustrated with them not being straight, that I would just make them really crooked, and then it would look like it was meant to be that way. In this case it was. However, if I wanted to line those letters up, it would have been very easy to do that by knowing what the measurements were on this block, right? So I could have brought this over here and said, okay, this peach block is basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 inches, and I've got 3 letters, and I can start from the center and move out. Now one nice thing about this ruler is that it has a center point here, and you can go center out to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on each end. So I could have put this right in the center. I could have said, okay, this is just over 6 inches, so the center point would be right here, and from there I can go out and I could have placed these items very easily. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about lettering, we've talked about journaling, we've talked about addressing envelopes, we've talked about laying out items on a scrapbook page, and we're going to talk a little bit about how you would use the tool to make cards. Let's say that this is the card we're going to use, and it's got this nice bracketed front, and I want to put some stamps on here, and I want to make sure that they're lined up. So I'm going to bring out my cute little stamp and my ink pad, and I'm going to put my laser line out, and I'm going to stamp, get this all inked up. Okay, and we can just align the top or the bottom of the stamp with that line. So I'm going to put my image there, and this is not a very good imprint, but it'll give you an idea of how you could use this for stamping. Again, you ink your stamp up, line up the top again, and you can see that you can get the stamp marks fairly good. In this case, a little tougher with a round stamp, a little easier with a square one. And if you were trying to just make blocks, you could line the edge of your ink pad up with the line, put a block down, etc. And you could create whatever designs you want. And then last, we're going to talk a little bit about putting embellishments on. And one of the challenges with things like brads is that you need to try to get them placed where they will be lined up, right? So we're going to start out with our Tim Holtz Pokey tool. I'm not sure what the name is, but that's what I call it. And we're going to use our laser line to make sure that these are spaced out evenly. And we're also going to use our rubber bands for the same purpose. So we're going to bring one rubber band on here, and we're going to put it at the second notch on both sides. And we're going to bring another rubber band. I'm going to put it at the fourth notch on both sides. Actually, I guess that's the fifth notch on both sides. And now we know that this is a straight line and these are straight lines, right? So we can make a little point here. We can make a little point here. We can make a little point here. And we know that those are all straight. Now we can poke a little hole in our card. And we can pop our brads through there. Now this has always been a challenge for me to get these brads lined up. And it's the same for stitching. You know, if you wanted to do a stitching line by hand, you could easily just use the tool and come up with your lines. And again, now we've got these brads that are nicely spaced and they're on the same line. So we've talked a lot about all the different features of the unit and what you're able to do with it. Some of the other things to think about is that it does have a 6-month warranty, which is, you know, a great warranty, and as long as you don't abuse the product, then they will replace it or repair it, whatever needs to be done. And again, it does take batteries, so you're going to want to make sure that that you've got some extra batteries on hand. It does come with batteries, but you want to make sure that you've got some extra AAAs on hand. Don't look at the laser light. Remember, that's dangerous for our eyes, and probably dangerous for the little ones if they don't understand that. And again, that the laser tool itself is fairly delicate, so you want to make sure that you don't have little hands banging on it and slamming it up and down the railing. It's important to treat it gently. So I think overall, I think it's a great tool. I think there are a couple suggestions that I would make, and I will convey those to the people at Clever Endeavors, and hopefully they can take note of those, and maybe you have some input as well. And we'd love to hear your comments about the tool. We'd love to know what you think, how you would use it, maybe some other uses you might have come up with that we didn't think about or cover in the review. Please leave those at in the comments, either on the video here on YouTube or on our blog post. And we will put the URL for the blog post that this video will be embedded in down below the information for the video. That'll be down there. And we do hope that you'll subscribe to the channel on YouTube and also sign up for our blog feed. We do lots of giveaways and lots of really fun things, including paper crafting challenges where you can win prizes, and we share lots of industry information. So we'd love to have you join us. You can find us at www.papercrafterscorner.com. You can also find us on Facebook at PaperCrafter's Corner. You can find us on Twitter at PaperCrafters, and you can find us on Pinterest at PaperCrafter's C. So the word PaperCrafters with a C at the end, all one word. And we'd love to have you join us on any of those channels, and hope that you'll tune in again for the next review. Thanks so much, and have a great paper crafting day.